Hi everybody, Ryan here with Berserk Custom Paint, and in this video I'm pretty much going to give you just a load of advice, talk about the airbrushes that I use. I'll talk a little bit about air pressure, kinds of paint, other kinds of little advice things I can think of, and just try to help you guys out. I'm in the middle of making a video about this one right here. I'm just taking a break and making a smaller video. This is my black and gray video, so if you want to see how this got to where it's at, refer to my black and gray video. If I posted it up, I'll throw a link on here. I do want to say before I start with my little lecture, it's going to be boring, is I'm not paid to say any of this. I do all these videos completely on my own for my own entertainment, because I truly, it sounds corny to say this, but I truly enjoy teaching and seeing people get better. It's fun for me, it's entertaining. So I want to encourage you guys, if you're watching any of my videos, if you've been trying out some of my techniques, please send me pictures of your work. I'd like to see. That's what I like. I like to see people getting better. I like to see the progression. So I'd love to see your work, and also throw some questions up in the comment section, and I'll try to answer if I don't answer them right here in this video. First thing I'm going to talk about: airbrushes. I use the Iwata Eclipse. I've said it in all my videos, yet everybody still keeps asking me that question. The reason I use the Iwata Eclipse most of the time is because it is an all-around good airbrush. It holds up. I don't break it all the time like I do with my Micron. Micron, as you can see, is broken right now, but it's a very good airbrush. It's way better as far as fine detail work than the Eclipse, although the Eclipse still can do the fine detail work. I'll get to the Micron in a second. Right now I'm just going to talk about my Eclipse. It's a top feed airbrush. The reason I get top feed is because I like to start with a color, tint it with other colors, and I can shake it up in my airbrush and keep going. Some airbrush guys, they'll use a side feed or a bottom feed. Those are for tubes that have a pre-mixed color in them that you shove up in the bottom, and you can work large areas. The downside of that is you can't tint those tubes. You can only use whatever colors inside the airbrush. So it depends. If you like tinting your colors, use the top feed. If you like using whatever color is pre-mixed, use bottom feed. So it's whatever you want to do. Here's the Micron. The thing about the Micron, as you can see, it's taken apart. That's because I unscrew the tips when I use it, and that way I can get real close and get really small hairline strokes. The downside of taking off the tip like I do is I'm always breaking the needle, and when I break the needle, then I have to wait 2 weeks for another needle to come back in the mail. I have to order from Coast Airbrush. So yeah, that's the downside of using this one. This airbrush, the Eclipse, is about $180, worth every single penny. If you're going to buy your first airbrush, buy the Eclipse. If you want to buy your second airbrush, buy the Custom CM Micron. It's just under $500, so when you get yours, don't break it all the time like I do, because it's expensive. Alright, on brands of paint, I use Standox brand. That's my preferred brand because I grew up in a body shop and I've been painting cars my whole life. I'm second generation. My dad taught me. He's still teaching me. And he decided a long time ago that Standox brand was his favorite brand. And for a lot of reasons. It's got a long flash time. It holds up well in the weather. It's, it's just a really good, dependable paint. You can tint it, easily. So we decided a long time ago that we use Standox, and that's what kind of paint I use. So, but I do want to say on brands of paint, that's it's just preference. If you ask 1,000 artists what kind of paint do you use, you're going to get 1,000 different answers. So I can only tell you what my opinion is. When it comes to candies and custom colors and stuff like that, House of Color, you can't go wrong with House of Color. I use their candies, with mine, with my Standox. And I do want to say on the House of Colors, when it comes to their candies and their shimmerings and all those, there's a lot of imitators out there, but nothing is going to do what House of Color does. It's just the #1 for a reason. So if you want to use the imitators, fine, but you're not going to be able to pull off what you can with the House of Colors. In my opinion, this is only my opinion. I do say in t-shirts, I know those guys, a lot of times they use Createx paint. So if you're looking to paint on t-shirts, Createx is a good brand. Createx is something you can get at Hobby Lobby. So if you're, It doesn't really work on custom paint if you're working on metal surfaces with clear and all that, but if you want to learn how to airbrush just for artistic reasons, for your own reasons, or to doing t-shirts or whatever, then get the Createx brand, and you know, that'll work out for you really well. There's also auto wear colors I hear a lot of people like. That's a airbrush paint made for doing cars and everything like that, and it's meant for airbrush work. I also hear there's a brand called Custom Shop. I've never used it, but I hear it's a good brand. I don't know anything about it. I will say air pressure and reduction. I want to talk about that for real quick. When I'm doing real fine detail, I will reduce my paint all the way down to, you know, water. You know, I'll reduce it to where it's almost all reducer with just a little bit of color in it sometimes. You can notice when you go too far, when you spray it out, it sprays out like transparent, very, very, very transparent, and you know that you didn't put enough in there. Or sometimes it works for pulling off different effects. So, you know, the reduction, if you've not put enough reducer in there, you'll see that you'll get like a grainy pattern when you spray out on your airbrush. So you just add more reducer until that pattern goes away. Another thing that can cause your pattern to be grainy, if you feel like you're not your reducer, is your air pressure. Play with your air pressure, turn it up and down. A good rule of thumb that I know of when you're doing custom work with urethanes, I keep my air pressure at about 15 to 20 psi. And that with my reducer, I'll have my reducer at maybe 60% reducer to 40% paint, and sometimes I'll go crazy with that and I'll put, you know, 80% reducer in there, depending on what I'm doing at the time and what feels right. Airbrush guys, they're a little different, so, or not airbrush guys, but t-shirt guys, they're a little different. So a couple quick tips for you guys, little goodbyes to look out for. This little handy guy right here, I got this when I was in, I went to the Airbrush getaway in Vegas. It was the Airbrush Action getaway in Vegas. I took a class there with Corey St. Clair and Steve Driscoll. As far as training goes, that's the only airbrush training I've ever had. So, like I said, my opinions are just opinions. They're not written in stone. This is a Helix electric eraser. You're going to find a million uses for this thing. So if you go onto the Coast Airbrush website, get your Helix. Because I use it for erasing away highlights. I use it for getting texture. Man, a million things you could use this for, because it'll erase the paint away for you. You can do little baby circles and do textures. You can, you know, I erased away the highlight on the bottom of her eye, highlights on her lips, highlights on her nose when I got a white surface, or when I got a white base. You know, that works really good for that, protecting your paint. So this little guy is a good buy for you. Also, you want to keep your exact, I want to say, when it comes to stenciling, here's something real important. I see a lot of people go overboard with stencils. They get to where they rely on their stencils to create the artwork and not rely on their freehand artistic ability. They don't rely on their talent to, they rely on the stencils that they're given. And the problem with that is you're always going to have a stencily look to it. So I would say, if you want to be serious about yourself as an artist or as an airbrush artist, try to get your freehand skills to be your #1 reliant thing. Like, I've been working on this, and yeah, I'm using this paper to mask it off, but a lot of times I don't use any stencils at all. I don't even use this mask paper a lot of times. I rely completely on my freehand skills. I'm not saying that stencils are bad. Stencils are very good. They're good as something like a #2 to help you increase, you know, they assist your freehand skills. So like, I use my stencils for like a shield. So I'll hold the shield, like say to create this line on the side of her face. I'll put a shield on there, that'll create that line, or maybe here to create some of that back hair, or, you know, that's pretty much the only places I would use it on this. You know, just a shield, maybe in her pupil a little bit. But yeah, use it as, stencils are very good to use to help with your freehand, not relying on them. So when I learned that, because I started off just like everybody else. I was buying those stencils and I was using them, and I still have them. I still use them from time to time. But I got to where, you know, everything would look stencily, and I got frustrated with it. I wanted my paintings to look like my paintings that I did when I was using oil paintings, and I wanted them to look like my drawings that I did with pencil, and I used to do watercolor, and I wanted it to look like that, and I didn't like this stencily thing I was doing. So it wasn't until I just put the stencil down and started thinking about my artwork the same way that I thought about, you know, when I had a paintbrush in my hand, is when my artwork started looking more, I don't know, it had more life to it, not that two-dimensional flat edge stencil look. So, you know, anyway, that's all the advice I can think of for right now. I hope it helps you guys out. Like I said, everything that I said today, that's all opinion based. You could ask somebody else and they'll give you a completely different opinion, but it's something that, you know, hopefully it helps you in your arsenal of knowledge that you got for your airbrush work. And if you guys have any questions, post them down in my comments section. And like I said, shoot me some videos of any work that you've done that you used some of my knowledge to help you out with. And anyway, thanks for watching, guys. See ya.